Welcome to the June Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. Thank you all for coming. The City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines set forth in House Bill 2560, which requires the governing body of the public body to extent reasonably possible to make all meetings accessible remotely through technological means and provide opportunity for members of general public to remotely submit oral and written testimony during meetings to extent in-person oral and written testimony is allowed. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public in both in person and virtually using the Zoom platform. All right, we'll start with a roll call, please, Kristen.
Kim Agramson,
Present.
Bruce Hildreth,
Present.
Eric Butler,
Present.
Kate Cornelius,
Here.
and David Michael.
Present.
Justice Mills.
Present.
Is that it?
Yes. Thank you. And then let's move on to the minutes from the April meeting. We did not meet in May, so this is going back a couple months. Do I have a motion to approve?
I would move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, thank you. We'll vote.
I think we have.
Okay. Approved.
Say all in favor.
Say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'll turn things over to Darren for a few updates. And we have a couple presentations tonight too.
Thank you, Kate. So tonight we have a presentation from the Gladstone Garden Association. Step up and press the button in the middle of the microphone there.
Hello, my name is Manuel Pacheco. Gladstone president. I got elected about 3 months ago. It's a wonderful little secret we have with the garden. And with me, I have Abel, you, vice president. You want to say something?
Yeah, my name is Ewald, originally from Germany. I live in Gladstone maybe 5-6 years. And I'm a member of the garden for 4 years and for 3.5 years now I'm the vice president of the garden.
I just moved from New York with my wife last year and found this wonderful garden. And with that is the secretary.
Everybody, should I be seated?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so as Manny said, I'm Christine Pacheco. Should I talk to you?
Not sure. I'm not sure.
So, yeah, so we are newcomers to Gladstone on the East Coast. We are City of Gladstone Historical Society to find out how long the garden actually existed, assuming that it probably came along the same time as the land was donated, but in fact it had not been. And sometime in the last 60 years, someone thought it was a great idea to have a community garden and established a community garden, which is 5 acres within Gladstone, within Meldrum Bar Park. We don't know who the wonderful person is responsible for that, but we thank them. We have a 25-year renewable lease with the city of Gladstone, and the Garden Association manages that. And we have a wonderfully diverse community of devoted gardeners, young and old and children, and it's just a wonderful place to garden if you like that sort of thing. Okay, next. And our current state. So I mentioned we have 5 acres. We have 133 divided plots. And 11 of those plots are reserved for operations. So for parking, for compost use, and for common areas where people can sit under a tent and enjoy a cool spot on a hot afternoon. We have 119 plots available at any given time to rent, if they're not already rented. So a total 119 plots. Last week, when I sent this, this presentation to Darren, we had 3 plots available, but have since rented 2 of them. So now we have 1 plot available, which is historic for the garden. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see where we were on April 2nd. All the red is were the open plots. And when our board took over in early March, said, oh my gosh, we need to do something about that because almost every garden in the area has waiting lists. Why do we have so many open slots? Something's wrong with this picture. So we put our heads together and organized and really did a lot of promotion and campaign to make visible the garden. And so as of last week, if you go to the next slide, this is where we are. In fact, we only have 1 red triangle available today. So if you know anybody that wants a plot, tell them to hurry up. We don't know how much longer we're going to have one available. We hope not much longer. So we're really excited about having almost no vacancies in the garden for so many reasons, which I will get to next. Thank you. So operationally, we run from January to December for our membership. Some of the other gardens in the area have seasonal membership. So maybe just the summer season or maybe just the winter season. Our season is 12 months. We ask all our members to volunteer a minimum of 4 hours, depending on how many plots they have. If they have more than 1 plot, then that's double or triple, depending. We only allow people to have 2 plots unless they've been grandfathered in. Our board members are elected by the membership in March and voted in. They're all voluntary, unpaid positions. We're certainly a nonprofit, and any operating budget we have is from membership fees, which are fairly nominal compared to other gardens in the area. Next. And our goals and aspirations, well, this is a short list. We had to consolidate it for these purposes, but we really are focusing tremendously on community building. We feel like the garden was a great place to go and grow things, but maybe historically not so much about community. And so we really are leaning into that and sharing knowledge in any way we can. And leveraging technology to do that. We're starting to do more of that in terms of social networking, using some inexpensive technologies to share knowledge. So if people have a question about how to grow, a specific crop, we have some very experienced master gardeners in our membership who would love to share information. We'd like to start doing virtual classes and YouTube classes that people can access. So we'll take baby steps towards that as we continue. We're very much about garden beautification. Even though the garden is quite beautiful, there's more we can do to make it even lovelier. And the last week or 2, we've put up some canopies with picnic tables underneath and places where our gardeners can go and get out of the sun and have lunch or whatever. Little things make a difference when you're working in the hot sun for a few hours. So those are just a few of the things we're doing to beautify. We have some bigger bites that we want to take, and one of them that's really important to us is to make the garden accessible to people who may have handicaps or constraints. And we have gardeners right now who are in wheelchairs who struggle to get into the garden. The paths are in terrible shape just by virtue of Mother Nature taking them over. And so we need to address that. We also want to start a pilot. We have at least one person who is willing to work with us. We want to establish an accessibility area so that we can kind of test and see what do we need to provide for gardeners who need special circumstances. And so because we're so small, relatively speaking, and we have our membership fees are quite low, we don't have a tremendous budget. And so we did ask the city, and the city was quite helpful to direct us to some resources where we could possibly seek grants and donations. So that's sort of one of our big bites in the next year, probably. So, so we're looking forward to that, and we think we'll get a lot of support in this area, and hopefully, okay, next. Okay, so that's kind of overview. Any questions for either me or Manny or Daval? Yes.
Justice Mills with the Park Board. How are you? Nice presentations thus far. If all the spots are rented down there and the end of the year is over, do the people who have the spots already get first choice on next year's plots, or do they keep being rented? I mean, how does any of them open up without expanding the area or cutting plots in half or something like that to rent?
It's an ongoing deal between the members and the board. If the member has completed all his hours and done all that is required of the member, the person gets to stay the following year. And if the person didn't, then he will receive a no return letter. Fortunately, everybody is doing well, so so far, probably we'll have a full guidance for next year. So that's how it works.
And sometimes also, we just in the short time we've been around, people move, people start gardening,
Change jobs.
new gardeners, they say, oh my gosh, this is so much more work than I signed up
Yeah.
for. I'm
And then
getting
we'll
it back.
So, a hypothetical situation, if I signed up for something tomorrow and nothing was available to rent, am I put on a waiting list at like the top of the waiting list for the first one that comes available, or how does that work?
The way it will work, if, let's say we don't have a plot available for you, all depends wherever you live. If you live in Gladstone, they will receive the first choice because that's part of our contract with the city of Gladstone. The members of the city, the person that is living in the city of Gladstone will get the first call. And if you live in other areas, then you will be put in the waiting list. And if nobody else, then you will receive a call that we have something available for you.
Does that answer your question?
Certainly does. Thank you very much.
I'm curious if you have some sense of what percentage of the garden users are people who live within the city of Gladstone versus in nearby areas, and if you think that the parking fee at Weldon Bar might have some impact on that breakdown.
Because I'm the secretary and I have to do that. So, I see all the addresses. We don't have a data. We don't have a printout of data. Okay, we'd like to do that, but we're not that good. But that's a great question. I'm going to say, I would say, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, I would say 90% of the people in our garden are within Gladstone. In smaller Gladstone city, and a very small percentage are in like not even Happy Valley. That would be far away for us, but And a very small percentage of people were in neighboring communities like Milwaukee. So, many of the people live in the River Road apartments, which makes sense, right? They surround right around the park and, they don't have a place to garden. So we have many folks who garden and live in some of the surrounding apartments. Does that help?
Mhm.
I have to get better with the data.
Yeah, as it was fine anyway.
So I think QuickBooks will pick up a lot of that if you're. It does a lot. 501 C3? I mean, you're a
Yes.
true nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay, so then grants, city can help you with the grants, which would be fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A lady named Jackie.
Jackie Betts.
Yes.
Yeah, she's not, but today.
All these names by email.
Yeah.
So she's been super helpful.
Well, this is a nice presentation. This is the most information that has ever been presented to this board since I've been around. So it's nice to have the veil of mystery pulled back.
It's a beautiful place. We
Yeah.
welcome any of you to stop by. Manny almost lives there. So, he loves to show people around. So if you're curious, please. stop
Yeah,
by.
nice. Very nice.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Okay, we have another presentation.
Yeah, so up next, we have Matthew Taylor with the Clackamas Water Trail Project.
I think I have a presentation too, yeah. And a little bit of real size. First of all, thank you to meet all of you. Good to see you, Mr. Butler. He has some inside knowledge. Basically, and thank you, Darren, for setting this up.
Hold on one
I've
second.
been working, can you hear me? I usually just yell wherever I am. Okay. So I'm just gonna put this so you guys can see it and I'll highlight some things. That's really just a little bit of showmanship. What this project's about is raising the profile of the river as recreational resource and also super precious. And this came out of some work that I've been doing as both a volunteer and a very part-time consultant with a nonprofit called We Love Clean Rivers. And through that, ended up working very closely with Clackamas River Basin Council. And then the fiscal sponsor for this project is the Clackamas River Water Providers. And I'm not gonna do all the acronyms because they start sounding the same. So the water providers, though, they provide your drinking water and it goes out in the river because it's a super clean river. And there are about 300,000 people who need their drinking water from Clackamas. And so there's been a synergy, you know, this is one of the true treasures of Oregon, the Clackamas. Not only a wild and scenic river, federally protected, it's state protected, wild and scenic. Don't quite enforce it that well yet, but it goes down to Carver with protections, then you have the benefit of these wonderful parks along the river. I believe Gladstone might have the most river frontage. I'm sure really where Oregon City's lines around that, but certainly the most public access. So bravo to you. This project came out of, we were doing some volunteer kind of river ambassadors and parks, talking to people about making sure they wear the life jacket, bring a stash the trash bag, keep clean. Real simple messaging. And yet there were, in all the parks, there was not a map of the river. There wasn't a website we could point them to say, well, because a lot of them wanted to know what direction the water was going sometimes. You know, where am I going? And yeah, people have a great time on the river and they're pretty thoughtless sometimes on the weekends. They have a good time. So the map idea was like, let's at least put a map in front of everybody and nudge them in the direction of like, there's 22 miles of river. You don't all have to be part of the carpet. Spread it out a little bit. We built a website and the map in the parks works with the website. So there's a little QR code everybody's familiar with now. It takes you right to the Clackamas Water Trail riverwatch.org. And then that is, we can update that anytime. And we basically work with other nonprofits to develop some stories and blog about it. But this season, we're really pushing for the stewardship message, safety message, but using this gorgeous map as kind of the backdrop. So let me just tell you about it real quickly. This was designed by Dave Imus, who's one of the most award-winning cartographers based right here in Oregon. And the whole point of it was to connect you to the different sections that people float and then identify the public land along the river and nudge people to understand that the rest is private and they can only go up to the ordinary high water line. Most people don't venture that far anyway. So we had a round of grant funding that paid for a first round of signs, and we put them up in Riverside, and then McIver Park, and Ranger Gray assures me that other 2 signs are going up in Barton Harbor for this summer. And then we got another grant to expand, and that's why I'm here to see you, is that we got funding to put 3 signs in your waterfront parks. If you want to move forward, so this is, and y'all see it on your computers, but this is a kiosk that we built part of the first phase. So there was no place to put the sign. And it was overrun with Japanese knotweed, and it's kind of a mess. And so we built this as sort of a way to set the tone that we have these, it'll be a metal sign, by the way. Those are made by Oregon Correction Enterprises in Eastern Oregon. And they do most of the park signs and highway signs for the state. They're great signs and they last a long time, and you can clean them off generally if they get repeat. This has been out for over a year and it's had 0 repeat. So we're close. That's at Riverside. You want to go one more step? This is how it looks at McIver. And then, this season we wanted to put them up in your parks. And basically I approached Darren and we recommended, or so we should come and present it to the advisory board and get everybody's consensus that, one, we want these signs. They are paid for, and there is funding to help maintain. And that's through the drinking water providers. You want to keep going here. You're in parks, but the ideal locations that we've identified are High Rocks, somewhere in Cross Park, and then Doll Beach, right where it goes to the river. The very end of the Meldrum Bar Park is Doll Beach. See the locations again, and one of the things from this is there's some real specificity to the locations. Go to the next one. And I identified a bunch of places, and that's something that hopefully Darren and I can work on, the exact location of where to put these signs. And these are just shots. And one thing to just call out here is that y'all have beautiful parks, like they're next to this river. And I think the goal of this river that I adore, many people do. And the hope is that the sign can stay around and complement whatever further signage you may need in the parks, whether it's public safety. So there might be an opportunity too, when we finally get the location, to consolidate some signage and make it look better. Because that's what happens with signage. It's added over the years. Next thing you know, you got one sign sticking out here and another one sticking out there. So this map helps draw people to an information kiosk, essentially. And so Cross Park, that will be likely the trickiest one to get the location exact. And then the last one is Doll Beach, which kind of has an obvious area where the sign is right at that the pathway down the river. And I think that's it. I mean, it's a very I would call subtle program. The water trail is actually the official name of the river on the Metro maps. Like Metro does mapping, called Clackamas Water Trail. So we didn't make this up. Also, the state has maps that identify it as a water trail, but to date, it isn't known as a water trail. And so a lot of the early funding came through Mountain Hood Territory, our tourism agency. And we're continuing to collaborate with them, and we just got another grant from Mountain View Tourism to do a version of this for the upper Clackamas. And the same thing, it'll be a website, it'll be the same website, but it'll be like upper Clackamas also. And then physical signage, and almost all of that is PGE property, and we already have approval for that, but it'll be it'll look similar, same kind of kind of look of the map, and that'll hopefully unite people that like, this is the same river. The Wild and Scenic River is also the one going right in your backyard. That's it. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I love it. I think it looks great. I'm all about the signs and the maps too. I think more is better in helping people understand how all of that is connected and connects to our parks. So thank you. It's great.
I like the idea of the kiosk and making sure stuff gets consolidated
Yeah.
instead of all over. Is there anything, does the board have to do anything on this? It's just a presentation?
I just wanted to bring it to the board to get your guys' feeling on it. If you guys are all in support of it, then we'll go forward with, he'll go forward, order the signs, and then we'll get them up once they arrive.
I'm hugely in support of that. I think it really makes it look like a classier place. And I think people take care of classy things.
So I'll just tell you about the sign, the kiosk that we built, which this budget does have funds for at least the sign posts, and Darren, we'll work all that out, but that was part of a special project to build the kiosk, and the goal was, it's all made of wood. It's red cedar, there's incense cedar, and then those are juniper posts. And just set tone that way. The last bit was the river rock at the base of the sign. I like to joke about this one. It's native Clackamas river rock, from the river, but it was dug up just a mile upstream in a quarry. And it's just the thought of them just bringing it right on down. Now it actually went to some transfer station, came back. But like that theme of celebrating whatever the natural materials are, hopefully people will take care of it. That'd be cool. Any other questions?
Ian Magnuson with the board. Yeah, it sounds great. Great presentation. The fact that it is paid for, including funds to go to take care of maintenance, is a big plus. Yeah, so I support wholeheartedly. I think it probably speak for all of us, but I'll let them do that.
Well, great. Well, I hope as we put these up, we can also promote it through your channels that these some signs are there. Come check them out. New maps. So,
I'm obviously biased, but I'm hugely in favor.
oh, well, Eric was for me. We worked on this together with the Clackamas River Basin Council. Go to the website, clackamaswatertrail.org, and there's a lot of natural history, information about flow time, safety, and we're going to make it better too. It takes feedback. It's kind of the words just getting out. Well, great. Well, thank you, and thanks for doing what you do. These were great parts.
Okay, next is a update on Robin Hood Park. So the swing set at Robin Hood Park has been installed. I'm not 100% sure if the swings are on it yet. They were supposed to install them today. But we don't install the swings until all the surfacing material and all that's in there, because we don't want somebody, swinging and getting hurt. But what I can say is those will be in this week. So that swing set will be fully operational. Some of the other things, the amenities that are going to that park, I'm soliciting bids for concrete work for the bench, the picnic table, and the garbage can area. Once that is installed, we'll install the new amenities at that park. Next is just a park maintenance update. It's been a while since I gave an update as where we're at with everything. The mowing is in full swing, as you can imagine. We're getting everything mowed in a week like we set out to do. Detail work we're starting to get caught up with that. We've been behind a little bit on some of the detail work, but we're starting to get caught up on a lot of that stuff. baseball field prep. We do that for all of the sports leagues for baseball, softball. That can be up to 4 fields in a day. Takes about an hour a field to get those prepped and ready to go for the leagues to play on. But we're continuing with that. I believe softball's done for the year, but baseball still has quite a bit to go until probably at least mid-July, maybe a little bit later than that. Trash and bathrooms continue, obviously, twice a week. Graffiti seems to be down a little bit right now, which is good. But you know, we still have to take care of it and maintain everything from that standpoint. So that is all I have.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Darren? Okay. We'll move on to business from the board, a couple topics. Update from Darren on the RC car park.
Yeah, so we're continuing to reach out to those folks to get as many people on board as we can. The plan will be to put up silt fence around the trail side of that park and on the other side, the river side of that park, to help keep the water, the dirty water, going down into the river. I'm hoping to have that up. Well, it will be up before the rains come this fall. Once that's up, we're going to be messaging the users of that pretty heavily, letting them know what that's for. We've already talked to, I personally talked to, you know, probably 4 or 5 people. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that want to step up and you know, talk about the park itself. But the plan will be to get silt fence up there, and then we'll also be working on some new signage down there as well. That will hopefully help them understand where the city's coming from on everything there.
Thank you. Any questions? David?
Do you have any kind of estimate as to how much city money is going into providing the silt fence? And all of the procedures in order to help pay for the RC park?
I do not have a number for that. Silt fence is fairly inexpensive, so I can't see it being a large dollar amount for that.
Some of the signage, it's general signage for all parks. No smoking, no drinking. And I'm afraid to say it goes on down there, even with kids present, you know, it's their parents. They don't seem to be too, I don't know, modest of carting it out with them. They just throw it into buckets that they keep there along with some of their equipment, you know, so I just, I'm going to continue to say, I think that park, that RC track is in the wrong place. I think it's an environmental disaster. And I don't think this few people that are coming up to speak with you, you know, they don't want to be responsible, yet there's a lot of people that seem to use it. And it keeps getting bigger. They keep digging into the side of the hill, into the forest side. You know, so I'm not sure just putting up a silt fence to keep, you know, the water from running off into the river is the answer to this. We had a presentation from the community garden. They're a nonprofit, they're organized, they have rules and regulations. The RC track people are not. So my feeling is it needs to be dealt with more sooner than later, on a more immediate basis. And I just don't know how that's gonna, I don't know how it's gonna happen, you know, but although we were supposed to have quarterly meetings with them, it's my understanding.
Yes, and we've continued those.
Okay, my opinion.
Okay, thank you. David M. Scott Park, formerly known as Ridgegate, point of reference. So amenities to go in there, and I think we have some mock-ups. We need to decide today, kind of which way we want benches to face, where those are gonna go. So that'll be something that we can vote on.
Can you go to the one that's it's like that?
Which one is that?
It's one of the ones I sent you this earlier.
I know, but are we not doing the sign, or you want the sign first?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. So,
Option one.
okay. So I went down to the park there, took a look at configurations of different things, different areas to put in some benches there. I thought this bench location would be one of the better locations instead of, we had talked before about putting them more out in the grass area. The problem with that is anybody ADA wise would not be able to get to those benches if they were out there without putting in a trail or a path to be able to get them there. So the thought with installing a bench there would be just basically because it's close to the trail, better ADA access. And then this bench here, I've got a couple pictures of this. So this is basically from the road facing towards Cracksburger. With the bench would then face toward Cracksburger if you were sitting on the bench, not facing the road or any of the properties that are there. That was another location that I thought was a pretty good location just because of the trees and there's a rock and stuff there. Can you get next picture? And then this is facing toward obviously the road there, same spot for the same bench. Next. And then signage, we had talked about that. Do we center the sign on the park itself? Do we put the sign and try to hide the vault that's there? I think putting the sign in this location would help hide some of that vault. You're not gonna hide all of it, but it would, kind of deter from that, I guess. And then there'd be a garbage bag or a garbage can and a doggy bag holder in that location as well, next to the sign to the what would be the right of the sign in this picture.
Yeah, I think that looks great for the sign and garbage. That's probably the easiest, most straightforward. Any thoughts on that? Do we feel good about that?
Yeah, sign and garbage, I think, are in good places.
Was that like two different options for that bench between the trees?
No, but the
But-
one between it was just two different pictures, one facing one direction, one facing another.
Okay,
direction.
there would be two benches there?
No, one bench there.
One bench there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, could it it looks like it would be a lot better facing the school than,
That
Fa-
is the direction it will be facing.
yeah,
toward the school.
yeah. I was gonna say, I thought maybe it'd be facing the street and I think nobody wants to face the street. You had just been there. Okay.
So the sun, kind of where this picture up here now, so by about 1:30 or 2, the sun is now shining to the back of this bench, so it's shaded.
Correct.
It's actually nice. And I think it'd be a good location.
Yeah, I think so too. I like that it doesn't face either of the homes there, which we've definitely talked about, but I think facing the school is nice.
Yeah, it looks through the forest.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
The bench next to the trail, I assume, faces the trail.
No,
Oh.
it would actually face out kind of on an angle toward Cracksburger a little bit as much as possible. The idea is to keep it from facing into other people's houses is the idea.
Yeah, I thought about that. Yeah. Good choices, I think. Thanks.
I move to accept staff recommendation for placement of the signs and benches.
Second,
Yeah, I'll second that.
great. Can we just do all in favor, say aye? If you want a real roll call.
If you make a motion, that would be great. Make a motion. Did you guys make a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
We've motioned and seconded.
Bruce Hildreth,
Aye.
Kim Agramson,
Aye.
Eric Butler,
Aye.
Kate Cornelius.
Yes.
David Michael,
Aye.
and Justice Mills.
Aye.
Great. Thank you for the very professional mock-ups, Darren. You did a good job. Okay, great. Let's move on to the nature park and some of the, talking about the amenities in there.
So the nature park, as you all know, we had Chronicle, which was the archaeological company that came in, and they were taking shovel tests in the park to be for the paved loop trail. And they took 75 shovel tests. Most of those tests were terminated before reaching 5 centimeters. As you can imagine, there's a lot of rock up there. So they didn't find any artifacts or anything like that in the park. Most of the stuff they found were, just debris is really what they found for the most part. They're starting the technological report and recommendations. We should be close to the end of the 30-day notice requirement for the tribes. And once they get the final report, we will notify the state of Oregon to see if we can proceed with the grant for the loop trail. The local share portion of the nature park, we're filling out an application for that now. It's a 9-page application requiring several narratives around meaningful community engagement and racial equality, climate resilience, contracting, workforce diversity and equity, and avoiding gentrification and displacement. We will be meeting, Jackie and I and Marcia will be meeting this week to go over the draft budget and timeline for that project. And hopefully we'll be able to get some assistance from Metro staff with the application as well. Once it's been approved, I want to take take it to the Parks Board to consider restroom and shelter options. So we're working on basically the application for that. And then once we get through that portion, we'll be putting a budget together for the restroom and shelter in the park. And then we'll bring options to you all to decide which way you guys want to go with those.
Sounds good. I'm excited to see kind of what those options and what we can have that look like. Anybody questions, comments on anything going on in the nature park?
I'd just say, this is Bruce, they've been doing a good job up there, keeping it mowed where it needs to be mowed and not overdoing the mowing necessarily, leaving some little taller grass here and there, which is kind of nice. I think Scott is he doesn't like that berm that's still there. So I told him that he can leave it, but he's like, nah, I think it needs to be trimmed. So, it's unfortunate they have to spend some hours working on that where I don't think they need to, but it looks good. They're doing a nice job up there.
Let them know.
Okay. All right. Jackie sent us an update on the dog park, but we'll just go over that real quick. Darren has updates.
Yeah, so as you know, we didn't get the first round of the grant for the dog park. We are resubmitting for that grant again. I believe those are due by the 30th of June. Grant writers are assessing the application to make it more robust. This is a national grant. This isn't just like a state of Oregon grant. This is a national grant that we're going after. So we've got a lot of competition with, pretty much everyone in the United States. But with that, they're not providing feedback from the last go round. So we don't know where to, make things more robust or make things better to help make it look more attractive to them. And that's why the grant writers are going to take a look at that and see what they can do moving forward. Like I said, that'll be needs to be resubmitted. I think it opens June 30th, but we will be resubmitting for that.
Darren, what was the budget for that? You remember?
Well, the grant was $50,000 for the grant. It does not have a match on it. But we would probably end up having to take some funds from capital to do some of the work.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. And then our last topic that we have is around park amenities. So garbage cans, benches, picnic tables that we have that are ready to start going out. So we just need to do a quick review of the priorities, like which parks do we want to ask staff to work on first? Darren, do you want to give us our options?
Well, we have, they're already out at, Nick Shannon Park. They'll be in at Robin Hood Park. So that'll leave basically garbage cans is what we have left from that. And my suggestion would be is to put them down at Max Patterson Park, prior to the festival. But that's ultimately up to you all to be able to do that. But, we have, Cross Park, we have Ames Park, we have Derrick's. And I think that's it as far as amenities. We didn't purchase anything for Meldrum Bar because the thought was is as we did the projects at Meldrum Bar Park, we would include those with those projects. So that's kind of where we're at with the amenities. It's just a matter of where do you guys want to install, oh, and the nature park, sorry. But I think even with the nature park, when we do the shelter restroom there, we can install those then at that time. So that it kind of does it all at once. But my suggestion would be Max Patterson to get that before the festival, but ultimately it's up to you guys where you would like to start with those.
I'm now looking at my sheet right now. How many are allocated for Max Patterson?
I don't have that number with me, but we had one for wherever a garbage can is currently at.
Did we ever get one? There's not one placed there at the midpoint of the nature park like we had asked for yet. It would be really, really nice to keep that from tipping over like constantly, to have one really good one right there in the middle of the nature park. I don't know if, and certainly the festival is a good time to put them, before that is a good time to put them in Max Patterson. I agree with that assessment. They won't be adequate because it is a festival, but I would really like that one for the center point of the nature park, if that would be possible.
So Darren, kind of coming off of what David was saying, Robin Hood Park you're doing some concrete work there, right? And would it be a good choice to have that same company go to the nature park, and right there on the asphalt trail, there's a picnic table, but there's about 12 feet of disconnect from the asphalt trail, meaning picnic tables on a concrete pad. That's where that garbage can is that David's asking about. But we have that space of, if, you know, truly you're talking about somebody that is in a wheelchair, being able to wheel down the asphalt path and then turn and go to that picnic table, which is not an ADA picnic table. But that area right there would be perfect spot to put a garbage can, a little extra cement, and a picnic table that's ADA accessible. You know, it's just the one spot, and I'm just wondering if that could be done in conjunction with Robin Hood.
It's a possibility. I'd have to look at it. I'm not 100% sure where you're talking, but it could be something that we could definitely look at. If it's something that we can't do now, we could probably include that with the Metro share for sure.
But I'm also with David too on Max Patterson. If we're kind of having a little bit of a vote here, a recommendation that if you can get that done before the community festival, it's probably a nice idea.
I agree. I think Patterson's a good place to prioritize. It looks like there are 7 on our original sheet, 7 garbage cans that are going in at Patterson. I think it'd be a really nice way to show off the new amenities that we're putting in around the city.
Agree.
So Patterson as kind of the priority to hopefully get that before the festival, and then for all the kid recreation stuff that's going on as well. That park's so heavily used in the summer. And then after that, we have Cross Ames and Derek's. And then Nature Park, Meldrum will kind of go with their specific projects. Does anyone have thoughts on prioritization of those other 3 parks?
I think we can leave it till later. I don't think we really need to come up with the entire list right now. I don't think. We just want to be able to give him a go ahead on what he's got available to accomplish right now.
Okay, sounds good. Then Patterson is the priority.
Thank you.
Good place to start. Okay. I think that's it from our list. Anything else? Any last questions, comments from the board?
Jim, thanks for the work on Nick Shannon. That's in my neighborhood. Appreciate it.
So we do have business from the audience. We have Myrna Barnes. She is here on behalf of the Ridgegate Homeowners Group to discuss David M. Scott Park. Myrna, once you start talking, your timer of 3 minutes will start.
Okay, I think we found out what we need to know tonight in terms of your intentions for the Ridgegate Tract TV. We do have some concerns. Our neighborhood coalition does have some concerns. We've got just a few of us with us tonight to become. We had said a few years ago when we were talking to the Parks Board, Bruce, I'm sure you remember, that we would be happy to help be involved in planning others. Once again, I had asked Darren for a mock-up or a drawing of the plans that they were going to have, so I could share it with the neighborhood. I received nothing, Darren. This is our first time we've seen it. The neighborhood wanted to be involved in the plan, and once again, we feel like we're being steamrolled. So we wanted to tell you what our thoughts are on the Ridgegate David Scott Family Park. And hope you can back up a little bit, let the neighbors know. We didn't even speak to the neighbors on each side of the trail to get their opinion. And we just have some concerns about it. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing those concerns.
Yeah, you have a minute and 30 seconds.
Anything else? Can I give a couple of my minutes to Monica? You want to speak? Sure. Okay. Right.
So when you're looking at from the street into the park, I live on the left side. And I didn't even know that any of this work was being considered. One of the reasons that I purchased this home was because of that space. It was so beautiful and open, and having a sign and a trash can with doggy bags right on the street is concerning to me. It concerns me for my home value. And I'm just wondering if that's, if it has to be there. I understand having benches. It would be nice to be taken into consideration, where that would be positioned. Because where people are in that area is closer to the baseball. So when people walk around, they're not walking around the street, they're further in, and maybe having, I don't know. I just feel like it would be beneficial to speak to the neighbors and ask, our opinion, because it's our home and it's our home value that I'm concerned. So I don't know if that's a possibility. To be able to have a say.
That's your time.
Thank you. We will discuss that and talk about it with the city too. But I appreciate you being here and bringing those concerns to us.
Oh my gosh, stop. It's a new phone. I don't know why it won't stop. There we go. Nope. All right. Just- I don't- Sit on there. I was gonna say, I'm about ready to. Literally, like, why won't it stop? Nope. I was gonna say, I'm about ready to hack it. I even like turned the app off and it's not working.
I think that's everything for the meeting today.
You have that app, I'd like a large pizza to go.
Everything's under control, folks.
All good. All right. Thanks again to everyone for being here. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Okay, then I call this meeting adjourned at 6:27 PM. Thank you.